Diane in Denmark here. It's been a while since I've done one of these question and answer time videos, and I thought, well, let's do one today. I'm quite excited today, as you can see from the candle that I've got here. It's the 13th of December, which at least in Denmark is quite a big day, because we have Santa Lucia processions, you know, this morning at schools and at nursery, high school, churches. You can also see it on Swedish television. We have the Santa Lucia parades, and actually this morning when I was down for my skinny dip with my friend, one of my besties, we had our own little Santa Lucia procession. It was a bit difficult down there because it was freezing cold this morning, blowing a gale, but had made us, I'll put the pictures on Instagram a bit later if you're interested. It's Diane in Denmark, that's my Instagram name. Anyway, I had made these little holders for us, and we had red ribbons around our bathing robes, and some sparkles in our hair. And you know what, it was silly and it was fun, and the candle blew out really fast down there. But you know, we have this expression in Danish that's called "Det eneste sjov vi har er det vi selv laver," which means the only fun we have is of our own making. And that is so true. I mean, let's have some fun, because we are, you know, you're responsible for your own happiness. So let's have some fun out there. But anyway, the Lucia procession it's a beautiful. If you ever get the chance to see it, please do. If you saw maybe on Instagram on Friday, I was at my daughter's school and they were doing a Lucia procession as part of their Christmas party, and it's beautiful. You know, it's very dark because you know it's dark here at 3:30 in the afternoon. They were doing it in the afternoon, and the girls come in and they're all wearing the white robes with, as I said, you know, the red ribbon, the red sash, and carrying candles. And the Lucia bride, she has lit candles in her hair. And I know a lot of you will think, oh, you know, fire safety. We take it very seriously here, and kids learn, you know, to treat fire and candles with respect from when they're crawling. And it's just the most magical thing to see, you know, in all this darkness that we have, to see them parading along with the candles and singing. Anyway, it was a magical moment. It always kind of brings a tear to my eye. But anyway, I said I was going to do a little question and answer time thing today, because I've kind of missed our little chats. So I've written down a few questions that have popped up recently on Instagram or on YouTube. Let me just move the candle a wee bit. Should I put it over there? Right. Oh, and the other thing today, it is the 13th of December, and I'm also excited because I'm going to see the new Star Wars film tonight, the one that's called The Last Jedi, and I'm kind of mixed about it. I mean, I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also a bit worried that I'm not going to enjoy it and be a bit disappointed, because I know I shouldn't say this, I didn't like The Force Awakens. I mean, it was a fine film. I just really didn't like it. You know, I grew up with watching the original Star Wars film in 1977, you know, episode 4 as it now is, but the original number 1. And last year I really enjoyed the Rogue One film, which, you know, is not part of the normal Star Wars films. But it gave me that feeling of sitting there as a 10-year-old in the cinema watching the film. I really enjoyed Rogue One much more than the Force Awakens. But anyway, let's hope that The Last Jedi is good. I'm looking forward to seeing that this evening with my son. So anyway, on to the questions. I've had, I get a lot of questions about motivation and routines and how I get motivated. And if you see me when I'm doing my cleaning videos here, I'll put the link up there. You know, I never want to do my cleaning. You know, I never want to do cleaning or decluttering. I mean, who wants to do that? But you know what it's like if we just use the dang timer, you know, our trusty timer. It just gets us over that little speed bump, you know, because we know that once we get over that bump, then we're moving, then we've got the momentum going. So that's how I get my motivation. It is from using the timer. Now, that's how I get my motivation for doing things around the house that I need to do, like weekly home blessing hour, or a bit of decluttering or detail cleaning. The motivation for doing my routines, morning routine and evening routine, and I hope when you're watching this video that you are, you're dressed to shoes, got your indoor lace-ups on and are ready to go. The motivation that I have for doing my routines is that I know that if I don't do them, I'm going to go back to a really bad place, and I don't want to go back to, as I always say, on Instagram, if you see me on Instagram on a Friday afternoon, I always post this thing with Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars saying, abandon your routines, come over to the dark side. When I abandon my routines, and I haven't abandoned them for a long time because I feel like I'm going back over to the dark side, and I don't want that to happen. So that is motivation for me to keep going with my routines. If you are just starting out with Flylady and you're having difficulty with your routines, I want you to see it in a positive way. If you do your routines, we're quite good Monday to Friday, and then we get to the weekend and we think, oh, I don't need to do it. And you know how that works. It doesn't work, because it just hurts yourself when you're not doing your routines, because you get that kind of pile up Monday morning, physical pile up with laundry, and you don't know what's for dinner, and you don't know what's happening, but also the mental pile up in your head. But take it as like a teachable moment, that when you get to Monday and you haven't done your routines, you can kind of look back and say, well, why am I feeling so bad on Monday? It's because I didn't do my routines. And there is no other, there's nobody coming in on a white horse to save you, or there's no Jedi coming to save you. You are the Jedi, excuse me, and the Force is within you. You are the creator of your own happiness, like I was saying before with the Danish phrase that we have. You're the one that can make the changes here. And it's as simple as that. And, do you want to kind of be happy with your lot and contented? And we're not talking about, having a huge house and everything perfect. But are you happy with your life? Because if you're not, you've got to make some small changes. And it's as simple as doing your routines. And I know that sounds crazy. How can these simple things of, tidying out what's in the sink after you've had your dinner and getting your outfit prepared for the next day. But once we get these little things done, it snowballs. It's a real snowball effect, because you wake up and you're feeling, on top, and you're in charge of things. And then it makes it much easier for the rest of your day. Now, I also had a question about routines. And I see this a lot. I can see it on Instagram. You've said it yourselves. You don't use the timer, and then you kind of crash and burn because you're trying to do everything, and you think, well, if 15 minutes cleaning is good, then 4 hours of cleaning in a row must be really good. It doesn't work that way. We've got to take those breaks. And also with routines, often you set yourself up for disaster. And what do I mean by that? I mean, routines, I love my routines, but please keep them short. And I did a little routines challenge with you. Gosh, how many months ago was it now? I'll put the link up there to the playlist, where we spent a week focusing on our routines, tweaking them a little bit. And I will be going through this again when we do our little Flylady boot camp in January, when we do Flylady and getting things done. But you've got to keep those routines short, because if you have a huge list, it's like this, huge pole vault thing that you're going to have to jump over. I know what happens. We may kind of run up to it, and then we see it looming ahead of us, and then we think we just give up. Whereas if you have like a little hurdle, you say, okay, I can deal with that. And then the next time you can put the bar up and put the bar up again and put the bar up again. And that's all we're doing here. Please start off small, because if you just get your routines going, all the rest will happen. Then suddenly, when you've got your routines going and they're automatic, and when it feels weird not to do your routines, that's when it's really sunk in, where it just feels wrong that you're not shining your sink. That's when everything else just kind of fits into place, because you've got the momentum going. And let me just change tack, and then I'll come back to another thing about creating habits, because somebody asked me about bad habits, and I'll get into those. I had an interesting question. Somebody, we've been doing this Christmas prep, or whatever holiday you've been preparing for, with the Flylady super cruising missions. Hope you've been doing them with us. I know some of you've maybe missed it. Don't worry, just go to the super cruising missions. I've got a video for each one. Link is up there. Just set your timer for 15 minutes and dive in and do something. Don't go and look at all the missions from October, November. Just go for the super cruising ones. Hold on a minute, sorry. Yeah, sorry, a little interruption there. Yes, we've been getting ready for Christmas, and somebody asked me what's my favourite part of Christmas, because I've been telling you about Danish traditions and things that we bake and cook. What's my favourite part? Was it the decorating? Was it the gifts? Or, was it the traditions or the food? And I love everything about Christmas. I think I've told you this before. Christmas in Denmark is the whole month of December. It's called the Christmas month. But I can tell you what my favourite ever gift was. And it wasn't an expensive gift, and it wasn't bought in a shop. It was present that my brother made for me. I've got a big brother. He's 5 years older than I am, and he's he's Scottish, obviously. Mum and the family, they are in Scotland. So my brother's in Scotland, and when I must have been about 9 or 10, he made me a doll's house. And this doll's house was made out of, a box from the supermarket that he had cut out. And it wasn't fancy, it was just, he had made walls, and he made all the furniture in it. He got to stay up late after I'd gone to bed, and he was making this in secret. And he had used things like egg boxes and cut those out, and those were little chairs, and put up scraps of wallpaper that Dad had given him, for the living room, and it was the best present ever. And I must have had, it was probably the size for a Pippa doll. Do you remember Pippa? Was it Pippa dolls? We had Pippa dolls, and I didn't have a Barbie. I had, was it a Tammy doll? Anyway, I had a Pippa doll. They were slightly smaller. And this was just the thing for my Pippa doll, and it was the best present ever. And I remember, and we talk about it with Mum and my brother every year. That was the best present I ever got. So just remember that. If you are making gifts for people this year, please know that they are really appreciated. There's nothing better than getting some home-baked biscuits or chocolate and chocolate fudge. Still time to make it. The recipe is up there. It's all in the Christmas playlist that I've done. So just know that your gift will be very, very appreciated. It was the best gift I ever got. Okay, and I'll finish off, I've got another couple of minutes. I'll finish off talking about the replacing the bad habits, because we are coming up to the new year, and I know everybody's got goals and they want to lose weight or exercise more or eat less sugar. Somebody asked, we have these habits, building good habits with, the Flylady system, through our routines. What about getting rid of bad habits? Now, I would say to you again, don't set your goals too high. Just like with everything else, do not set that bar so high that you can't get over it. Set it low and be very reasonable about these goals. If you're cutting down on, I don't know, say smoking or not eating so much sugar, look at your calendar, and you have the month ahead for the 31 days. Write on the calendar at the side or get some little, sticky notes and give yourself 3 get out of jail cards. And if you ever played Monopoly, you'll know that you get these get out of jail free cards. Give yourself 3 days where you can have an excuse not to do whatever it is, you're trying to improve on. Now, why do I say that? Again, because if you say to yourself, okay, I'm not going to eat any sugar for the next 31 days, or I'm not going to smoke for the next 31 days, you're kind of setting yourself up for disaster, because nobody is perfect. And of course, we're going to have a day that it's tough, or something happens and life, tries to knock us over. So you've got to give yourself a little, a little escape route. And if you have like 3 of those, say there's a day that you have just had a really dreadful day and you are craving whatever it is, a glass of wine or the sugar or a cigarette. You can say to yourself, okay, today I'm going to use one of these cards. But it also, in a way, enforces what we're doing. We'll say, well, do I really want to use it today, or might I need it on another day? Do you see how that works? Sometimes it actually helps us to keep going and to push through. And you may have a really bad day and say, you know what, I need to have it, so that's going to be one of my get out of jail free card days. And then you've got 2 left to use as you like. And don't think, I ate the sugar that day and it's all a waste of time. Look at it from, take a step back and say, you know what, I did really well. I was aiming for 31 days and there were 3 days, or 2 days or 5 days that I didn't do it. Look at all the times that, I was good and I pushed through, and that is just going to give you a little bit of leeway. Please don't be so hard on yourselves. And I've said it before, I was a Flylady mentor working for Flylady Premium. And the place that most people go wrong with the Flylady system is thinking that they have to do it perfectly or having to do all the parts. And you know yourself, life isn't like that. We can get so much out of just improving things little by little. Okay, and just as a last thing, I know I'm going to go to 20 minutes. I hate going over 15, but I want to share something with you. I was at my Swedish evening class on Monday. I go to Swedish language class. And as part of our homework, we had been reading up about the Nobel Prize ceremony, and it's always held the banquet on the 10th of December. That was the day that Alfred Nobel died. And there are speeches by the winners, and if you haven't seen them, go in. They're about 2 or 3 minutes each, from the prize winner of physics or literature or whatever it is. And one of them stuck very clearly in my mind, a fantastic speech by the winner of the physics prize. He was one of the team, I think his name, Professor Ray Weiss. I'll need to check up on that. And his team has discovered gravitational waves. Now, I knew nothing about that to begin with, but it is like one of the biggest discoveries in science for years. And they've proved Einstein right. Einstein had this theory. He couldn't prove it because he didn't have the technology then. And they have been working on this for 40 years. This discovery has taken them 40 years. And he was interviewed, and somebody said to him, it's taken 40 years. Has it been a long 40 years? And he said, well, you know what? They were working towards this thing, but they had, and this is what he said, they had fun while they were doing it. They went to work, they were working with nice colleagues, they got on, just like our little community here. They had good colleagues, they enjoyed working. And what happened was that they were, every day they would, build this machine, didn't work, so they made it a bit, they improved it a bit, and, they went home happy. And then the next day they tinkered with it a little bit. And he said they had enjoyed the process. And that's the message I want to give to you. Just enjoy the process, because we're not kind of looking at the end goal. We're enjoying the journey that we're on, and hopefully the journey that we're on together. Anyway, I'm going to keep it short now. I'm going to blow out my candle. Happy Santa Lucia, and hope you enjoy the Star Wars film if you're going to see it. But anyway, I shall be back very soon with another video. And you know what I always say, live long and prosper. I know it's a Star Trek reference when I've been talking about Star Wars, but who cares? We're all here together. Live long and prosper, and see you very soon. Okay, Diane and Denmark signing off.